Something big is coming. The potential bombshell revelation is according to Hannity, who said this news will end it all. I think it's fair to note he was speaking about the Russian witch hunt just before he made this announcement. Tick tock, tick tock.
All right, welcome to Hannity. Busy news night. So with zero evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, 442 days of stupidity into this Mueller partisan witch hunt. Well, your mainstream corrupt media is literally in this country desperately searching for a new crisis every second of every day. This time they're trying to focus their attention on their favorite topic. Oh, themselves. They're narcissistic. And one particularly devout anti-Trump fake journalist over at fake news CNN is so openly concerned the president's rhetoric could endanger members of the media. But we're going to show you how the White House press secretary, Sarah Sanders, absolutely decimated this person. We'll tell you about it in a minute during today's very tense briefing. Plus, we're going to help remind the anti-Trump fake news CNN network why so many Americans chant at you that you suck. Americans don't trust your abusively biased coverage. And despite the constant stream of negative coverage from the media, well, the president's poll numbers are going higher and higher and higher, which, by the way, comes as the administration is now combating, quote, Russia election meddling in a big way, something that Obama failed to actually do. Obama said this couldn't happen in this country. Trump needs to focus on getting voters and stop whining. Okay, moments ago, by the way, the president wrapped up a massive rally in Pennsylvania. We'll show you those best moments. We also have the very latest details, day 3 of the Paul Manafort trial of the century, a 2005 tax case. Sit tight, buckle up. It's almost Friday. Time for tonight's breaking news opening monologue. We're glad you're with us. All right, those crisis peddlers are at it again. Your mainstream destroy Trump media has constantly tried and constantly failed to sink the Trump presidency. And night after night, they're pushing scandal after scandal. It's day after day, and now it has come full circle. Now, tonight, the outrage of the day is centered around members of the media talking about themselves and their own little bubble, and how some believe that the president's rhetoric and conservative rhetoric and people chanting at them and any criticism against them actually is putting them in danger. All right, let's be very clear, get it off the table. As I said last night, violence against any member of the press, frankly, anybody, is reprehensible. No one that I know, no real conservative would ever call for or support any violence against the media. But I also said last night I'd be the first person to jump in and personally defend any journalist who was attacked anywhere in the country. And by the way, I trained 5 days hard MMA. Frankly, I think I'd be an asset to them. And I'm pretty confident I can be effective. But let's also be clear. The fact that the people of this country are so fed up with their bias, their lying, is not a call for violence at all. As a matter of fact, it's actually freedom of speech and our duty to call out blatant lies, fake news for what it is. And it's no surprise that you, the American people, no longer trust the so-called mainstream media. Here's just one recent example. Today, the Trump-hating New York Times, the so-called paper of record, they actually defended the hiring of a person who once tweeted, quote, hashtag, cancel white people, and, quote, are white people genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun, thus logically being only fit to live underground like groveling goblins, end quote. I was equating Trump to Hitler before it was cool. That's the New York Times. Why would the American people trust any organization that proudly hires that person? Now, today, the president tweeted, quote, they asked my daughter, Ivanka, whether or not the media is the enemy of the people. She correctly said no. It is the fake news, which is a large percentage of the media, that is the enemy of the people. Now, the press is absolutely a vital part of any democracy. Their rights are guaranteed in our Constitution, but so are the rights to freedom of speech and the president calling them out for the lies that they tell. And the American people also have a right. And when they know a network is feeding them lies, propaganda, misinformation every single second of every single minute of every single day, week after week, month after month, year after year, they're right to call them out. In fact, one so-called news network is so blinded by this anti-Trump derangement rage that they have, they don't even remember how destructive, how aggressive, how insane, how pathological their own rhetoric was even before day one of the Trump presidency. But we've got the videotape to remind you. Take a look.
What he's done is create a lot of hatred and hostility between groups in this country after a half century of us trying to bring people together.
Are the talking heads missing something when they pin it all on the economy? What about racial anxiety as a factor? So the Arizona Republic getting so many death threats over an endorsement is an example of how overheated the rhetoric is. Another example out of North Carolina today, the firebombing of a local GOP office. Yeah. But that kind of action is unacceptable, and we need to have the temperature come down on all sides right now. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is the lead in terms of raising the temperature at this moment in time.
I think that if there's one thing that Donald Trump could do now that might calm some people, we're on track for a tragedy.
No, we're on the track for the best economic recovery we've had in 15 years. So as you can see, fake news CNN quick to lower the level of discourse in this country. That was the same guy that said this is a white lash. But that didn't stop CNN's so-called chief White House correspondent, the king of lies, the king of fake news, Jimmy Acosta, from trying to self-righteously seize the moral high ground at today's press briefing. But by the way, he didn't win this round. Take a look.
I think it would be a good thing if you were to say right here at this briefing that the press, the people who are gathered in this room right now, doing their jobs every day, asking questions of officials like the ones you brought forward earlier, are not the enemy of the people. I think we deserve that.
I think the president has made his position known. I also think it's ironic. I'm trying to answer your question. Okay, well, I politely waited, and I even called on you despite the fact that you interrupted me while calling on your colleague. Well, I said it's ironic.
Which is why I interrupted.
I'm trying.
But if you finish, if you would not mind letting me have a follow-up, that would be fine. But
it's ironic, Jim, that not only you and the media attack the president for his rhetoric when they frequently lower the level of conversation in this country. Repeatedly, the media resorts to personal attacks without any content other than to incite anger.
Boom, checkmate Sarah Sanders. She then helped remind fake news Jim Acosta about the real enablers of violence in this country during this powerful beatdown. Take a look.
The media has attacked me personally on a number of occasions, including your own network, said I should be harassed as a life sentence, that I should be choked. ICE officials are not welcomed in their place of worship, and personal information is shared on the internet. When I was hosted by the Correspondents Association, of which almost all of you are members of, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. In fact, as I know, as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection. The media continues to ratchet up the verbal assault against the president and everyone in this administration, and certainly we have a role to play, but the media has a role to play for the discourse in this country as well.
Checkmate Sarah Sanders. As you can see, there are real acts of violence, harassment, aggression. It happens every day. There are a lot of nuts out there. I know personally. Like so many in the public eye, I've had numerous death threats over the years, white powder mailed to my office, and guess what? None of that is fun. And I'll be the first to stand up and say everybody has a right to freedom of speech. But saying that you're a liar and calling out fake news is only words. Nobody's supporting any violence. So don't make accusations that are untrue. Many in the media, they're all too happy to play down violence that have been over the years perpetrated against conservatives. For example, just today, a man arrested after leaving Majority Whip Steve Scalise a threatening voicemail. Remember, 2017, Steve Scalise, Republican, was shot by a deranged Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't remember the biased press assigning blame for that violence, and nor did I. You can't hold one psycho accountable and attribute it to some other person. Now, remember, during the Obama administration, no member of the mainstream media feared for their lives or blamed Obama for random acts of violence against conservatives because he said things like this.
I might have to put Mr. Burgess on Fox News. You know, give him. I'll put I'll put Mr. Burgess up against Sean Hannity. He'll tear him up. I need you to go out and talk to your friends and talk to your neighbors. I want you to talk to them whether they're independent or whether they are Republican. I want you to argue with them and get in their face.
Sean Hannity goes high, they go low. Tear me up? Oh, get in their face? Wow. As you can see, all the feigned moral outrage coming from many in the media, it's just one more fake crisis that is being concocted and pushed by the fake news media, people that are just hell-bent, waking up every day and maligning the president. Every minute, every second, every day, every week. And despite all of this, the president, well, he's polling better than ever before. Rasmussen poll out today. The president's approval rating now stands at a solid 50%, which, incidentally, is 5 points higher than Obama during the same time frame. This is huge news with the midterms just around the corner. And earlier tonight, during his rally in Pennsylvania, the president, well, and the abusively biased press, he took them on and so much more. Let's take a look.
We're doing better in all of these states than we did on election night. So we're going to be taking some very tough actions. I don't know if it's before the election or after the election. You know, a lot of the Republicans say, and they're good. They're good. We need more Republicans, but they're friends of mine. They say, President, you know, and some of them are really tough guys, and they said, sir, we're better off if we wait till after. I say, it's better before. Let's do it before. Sir, we're better off. You know who thinks it should be before? Rush Limbaugh thinks it should be before the election. You know who else? Sean Hannity. A lot of them. A lot of them. Great people.
Do it before. We're 96 days away. This is not hyperbole. This is real. The single most important midterm election in our lifetime. Look at your screen. That is their agenda. Take a look. What do they want to do? They want to impeach this president, but don't say it. And what else? They want their crumbs back. What else? They want to get rid of ICE and open borders. And what else? Oh, they want to block the Supreme Court nominee and end the investigations into their corrupt deep state. It's only been 18 months. Obama gave us 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, worst recovery since the 40s, 51-year low in home ownership rate. He accumulated more debt than every other president before him combined. And then he tried to bribe the mullahs in Iran that say death to America, death to Israel, with $150 billion in cash and other currency. He let Assad cross his phony red line in the sand. And Russia, well, was left totally unchecked. Oh, nobody can influence our elections. Devin Nunes warned about it in 2014. Oh, and President Trump needs to stop whining. No one could do it. No serious person believes that. And many on the left and the media today are constantly just obsessing about Russia, Russia, Russia. The Trump administration has been 10 times stronger than anything Obama did. And after 8 years of ignoring the hostile regime of Russia, the bad actor Putin, this president is actually taking potential election meddling seriously. Look at the presser from earlier today.
Since January 2017, the president has taken decisive action to defend our election systems from meddling and interference. This includes measures to heighten the security and resilience of election systems and processes, to confront Russian and other foreign malign influence in the United States.
The progress we have made is real, and the nation's elections are more resilient today because of the work we are all doing. But we must continue to ensure that our democracy is protected.
What we see is the Russians are looking for every opportunity, regardless of party, regardless of whether or not it applies to the election, to continue their pervasive efforts to undermine our fundamental values.
Any moment is just a moment before, you know, the dial can be turned up one, much as we saw in 2016. Again, not in terms of affecting the vote count, but in terms of potential penetration of voter registration databases or something like that.